had to be out in the field today. And then Dee is busy with some other projects. She's kind of pulled off of this project for a period of time, but she'll be back with us here real soon. So I'm missing her terribly, and I'm sure if you guys have not been talking with her, you guys are missing her too, but she'll be back on this project here real soon. So we'll make this a really quick agenda for today. One of the first things we're going to go through is your dashboard numbers. We want to talk about staffing protocol. We want to talk about some customers that we've been noticing in the system and how they're marked and how you need to go in and look at them and change some particular markings with customers. Employment verification, we're going to have a conversation around that and with DHS. And then I'm going to bring you up to speed on the modification status and cash requests. So right now we're going to start with, I'm going to share my screen and make sure I have the document up here. Okay, so these are the numbers for you guys. This was ran this week, and we're going to take a look and see where you guys are at with your numbers. Applications not started. We have quite a few applications that are sitting out there not started right now. Safe Haven's got 50, Albany Park 20, Catholic Charities got 14, Central State Sears 27, Phalanx 24. So you need to take a look at your numbers of the applications not started. I anticipate these are probably all mainly new cohort. So look at these numbers. Some of them could definitely be that the appointment date has not come up yet, but keep an eye on these because we want to make sure that we're not leaving any individual sitting in the application not started, specifically if their appointment date has passed by. So you need to make sure you're keeping an eye on that specific column. For the 2151 past due, we have Albany Park has 7. Tri-County Urban League, you've got 5 sitting out there. Springfield Urban League, 3. Phalanx 2. Once again, you need to look at those 2151 past due, and you need to reconcile those on what the situation is. So if they're, no contact, no show, or whatever, you need to identify what those are, and we need to move those out of the 2151 past due. Enrollments required. Albany Park, again, you have 10 in there. That's the high one. Central State Sears has 5. Jane Addams 4. So these are individuals that you've obviously met with, and they have not been enrolled yet. So you need to make a determination on this enrollment, if they're going to be enrolled in the program or not. 2151 A's past due. We have a Safe Haven has 8. Most of you guys are in good shape. There's 1 here. There's a 2 with Central State Sears. A Safe Haven, you're the winner here with 8. Get on those. We are at the 29th of this month. They were supposed to be done, within the first part of the month. So take a look at those because this is going to be turning here real soon. At the end of this month, we'll be looking at the next month for the 2151As that are going to be required. So you need to follow up on those that are still sitting out there and make sure you're completing those before the end of this month, and this is the 29th. So minimum progress, once again, it looks like we're good, but 8 Safe Haven, you've got 26 sitting in there. So if there is minimal progress or no progress, you need to see what's going on with those customers, and you need to either move them to a conciliation type of a status, or you need to do some sort of a work with them to get them so that they're engaging. So, like I said, we're in pretty good. Safe Haven, I'll reach out to you guys direct because you do have some high numbers in here and see if you have any questions as far as moving these individuals. On the no progress, we're looking really good there too. We've got Inspiration has 1, and it looks like Catholic Charities has 1. So if they're sitting in there for longer than a month, and then we need to move them into conciliation and get them going. So take a look at those numbers and see. Situation worse, we actually have nobody sitting in there, so that's good. Completion status, we have a few numbers in here for National or North Lawndale. You've got 4 that needs completion status done. National Able 1, Matricon 1, Leslie Bates 1, Asian Human Services you've got 2. Once again, just take a look at those, and we need to move those into a completion status. And then for SNAP and eligible, we've got 5 here with Central State Sears and 2 with Albany Park. And, on that particular one, since I'll have to follow up with you guys on that, on the movement of that one, exactly what needs to be done with that. But these are your numbers. We're not looking bad. The one thing is the application. We need to make sure that we're moving the customers in. And I'm not sure how many of you guys are, let me stop sharing my screen here real quick, are still doing the reverse referral. It's very important to, continue to recruit customers on your side also, and just not them coming from DHS. And I know when we first started this, we were leading. We had our CBOs had more people coming in based upon them referring them to DHS. Now DHS is doing, more of the lion's share of that, but I still want you guys to reach out for this. There's conversations going on right now as far as when DHS is going to quit doing recruitment. And that's a conversation that we're going to have internally and with you guys also. They're looking at an October 10th date. Not October 10th. They're looking at the end of October as the end date for recruitment. But that's negotiable. We may be talking about that because we want to make sure that you guys have an opportunity to meet your service numbers too. So, but I just want to, strongly encourage you guys, this month, September, we're end of August, but in September and October to be very diligent about getting customers in, getting them enrolled, and getting them in programs, because we're also running out of time as far as long-term programs are concerned. And Olivia and Dee have been great. They've been staying on the programs to see, what are the long-term ones are, and we've been removing, the programs that are available based upon the amount of time left. So I just wanted you guys to be very diligent on your recruitment, efforts and working with DHS to get your numbers. Okay, is there any questions? You have questions with any of this, please text, put them in the chat pod, and then I can respond accordingly. One of the things we want to discuss is your staffing protocol and the process. And once again, this information is in your partner resources area, in the workNet partner resources. But we have had some concerns expressed by DHS relating to staffing materials being emailed. You cannot email staffing materials to your DHS counterparts. There's PII information in there, and it's not a secure process of sending that, and it's against DHS policy at this time. So you cannot email information to, and if they ask for you to email information, you just tell them, no, that you're referencing on the policy related to staffing and does not allow you to email documentation to your providers. They can go in the system and get it. Then now they do, which, and we've had conversation around this, DHS does allow faxing of it. So if your local office does provide you a fax number, you can fax it to them. And that is an option in their policy. They currently don't have a policy where you can email encrypted documents, which is a safe way of doing that, but it's currently not in DHS policy. So that is not an option at this time. It has been a conversation that we've had with them that it's not a bad option. It's something that they should take a look at in their policy and maybe incorporate that as an option for exchanging this information. But at this time, no emailing, even if it's encrypted. The ways of doing it is to work with your DHS counterpart to access the system and find the staffing packets, or to email them, or as we were having to do at one point, which was snail mail, which is very inefficient. So I think we haven't had a lot of concerns with staffing here recently, but that was just brought up. And Cameron, I agree that encrypted is, and we've expressed that with DHS, and that is something that we've, kind of commented to them, is when they're looking at their policy, if encrypted emails could potentially be included as part of that policy. But that's a decision they have to make at this point. That's not an option. So my recommendation is, develop that relationship with the DHS staffing, who you're staffing with, and if they need assistance, you just try to walk them through to how to access stuff electronically, because honestly, that's the best method through the system. So with that said, the next thing is marking all customers who are engaged as enrolled unless pending re-engagement. So one of the things, we've been having to run some reports here recently, and one of the things we noticed in the reports is that we have individuals who are marked as complete, and they're marked as employed full-time. But then we are looking at the enrollment status, and their enrollment is not enrolled. So a couple things could be causing this. It could be a re-engagement situation where maybe they were employed and then they're no longer employed, and then they're coming back in for re-engagement, and DHS potentially may have marked them as not enrolled because of re-engagement. But what I need for you guys to do is look at your customers, and if you have engaged somebody in the program, you need to make sure that they are marked as enrolled for the program. Like I said, once again, unless it's pending a re-engagement process. So if you have a customer that is going through re-engagement, then you don't want to mark them. But if they were inadvertently marked as unenrolled, they're not going through re-engagement, then you need to take a look at those customers and make sure that they're still marked as enrolled. And like I said, that came up when we were doing an export of customers who were employed, and we noticed that we had some that were completed and employed, but they were no longer enrolled in the program. So what I'd like for you to do is take a look at your customer basis, basically, and if it's not a re-engagement situation, make sure that the enrollment is accurate. Any questions on that? Like I said, you just feel free to write something in the chat pod, and then if I can't answer it, we can definitely get back with that. Okay, employment verification. Now we always have a state call with DHS on Tuesday mornings, and one of the things that Deidre from DHS told us was that once a participant is no longer SNAP eligible and they're not receiving the benefits, DHS cannot access the wage data information anymore. So if they're not SNAP eligible, and if you're reaching out to your local office and saying, hey, can you see if this person's employed or not, they can't even access the wage data information to find that out. So we need to make sure that when people are getting employed, that we're identifying that information right away and case noting it. And you need to definitely case note it. We did have another situation where an individual was employed, and it wasn't case noted by one of our providers, and this individual's been employed for a period of time, and apparently it must have been missed in staffing. And so this individual has been on SNAP benefits, and they should have been taken off like a couple months ago. So it's going to be a situation where this customer is potentially going to have to reimburse DHS for the benefits earned during the period of time that they were not SNAP eligible. So please, please, please make sure that when somebody becomes employed, that you're marking them as employed in your system, you're case noting it, and you're providing the documentation and uploading the documentation of employment, and that you're communicating this in the staffings that you're having also. So basically two things here. DHS no longer can access wage data once somebody is not a SNAP customer, so they're not going to be a resource for that. And then two, if you have the information and you've identified somebody as being employed, you need to make sure that you're marking it accordingly in the system, and then you need to document it, and then you also need to make sure that you're communicating that in staffings, because we don't want our customers to have 2 or 3 months of SNAP benefits that they're going to end up having to pay back. So and the next thing, we're just cruising through this real quick. The next thing is, and I'm sure this is what a lot of you guys are interested in, is the modification status. All modifications have been initiated, and they're being pushed this week, and then hopefully by next week you should be getting grant agreements is the intention. Now, there was an exercise that I had you guys do last week, and unfortunately we only have not many people on this call. There's 9 participants, so a lot of the agencies aren't going to be hearing this. But there's an exercise I had you do last week because we thought we had to get all of our costs and cash reported for the state fiscal year of 18. It ended up that we did not. We could roll that into the state fiscal year 19 because our appropriation authority allowed us to do that. So it was, even though it was an exercise, and I appreciate everybody doing it, it paid off for us because then we understood how much money was still owed to you guys through the end of state fiscal year 18, but we were able to roll that. So I had asked that you guys provided that information and put cash requests in, like really quick so we can get that done. Well, to expedite the modification process, we decided to deny the cash request. So I have 4 agencies that had cash requests in that I did deny. If you've seen that come across, you can resubmit it now. But I did not want to hold up a modification process because if we would have waited for those cash requests, it could have been another week or 2 because we have to get the funds from DHS, and then it would have slowed down the modification process. So I think, like I said, I only had 4 that I had to deny. We've rolled over all of the grants, and so now if you have a cash request in there and the funds are available in the line items, you can go ahead and resubmit the cash request and report your cost. The grants are moving. Like I said, they're in director's review right now. So within this, this week to the first part of next week, I'm really hoping that you guys are going to be getting your contracts. And then once it's obligated to the comptroller's office, and that'll bring your grants up to the levels that we've negotiated. And then we can, steam ahead. And then that's allowing us, the changes that we requested from FNS for the, 50% career navigation, 10% admin, allowing a little bit more, flexibility with paid work experience so that it's based upon, the customer needs and on support services and also. So with the amount of time we have left over, I mean, we really want you guys to do your very, very best to expend, your training for sure. If paid work experience is a huge benefit, and I've been harping on this for a long time for the customers. And there's quite a few grantees out there right now that have quite a bit of money still in paid work experience. You need to utilize with your customers. And that's, like I said, that's one of the big benefits with the EPIC program compared to the regular SNAP ENT, along with being able to pay for training and, more in-depth support services. So, I really want us to finish strong. I think we've done an amazing job with getting customers in with the new cohort. I think we had like around 900 and some that have been identified by DHS. Of that, I think we're around 350 to 400 customers that have been enrolled, which is pretty good considering that we just started this in May. So, we're making some great progress with the new cohort. So we just want to make sure that's continuing. So cash requests, you can, now that we're rolled, you can put, cash requests in. You can enter your cost. And, the modifications, like I said, are on their way. So that is pretty much all I have to cover. Like I said, I'm really hoping that on our next webinar, Dee will be back on and working with us, and Olivia will probably be back on. She had to do some WIOA things this week, so that's why she's off today. And with that, any other questions? If you have any questions, let's see, I got called. I'll wait for a second. Did you say we can go ahead and resubmit cash requests that were denied? Yes, Eric, you can. And it can be for cash requests for 18 and 19. Because at one point we told you to hold off on any cash requests for 19. You can do for both state fiscal year 8 expenditures incurred in both state year fiscal year 18 and 19. So anything to make you whole, you can do as long as it's within the line items that are currently in there and it doesn't exceed your grant. Now, I know there are agencies that have requests that they do need the modification to be able to submit that. And once again, that's why I said we wanted to move the modifications, and so that's why we decided to deny cash requests until we can move all modifications. So, but we're good now. You guys are rolled over, and you should be able to do it. Okay, this was a pretty quick one. If you guys have any questions or concerns, please give me a call. I will be out of the office next week, but I will be answering emails. So if there's anything that you need, please, send me an email, and I will respond via email. But with that, you guys have a great day. Keep plugging along. And then we will have more to follow in a few weeks. Specifically, we're looking at some training opportunities that we want to bring to you guys before the end of this program. So, okay, with that.